Okay, so now we're going to look at the procedure for creating a box plot in Excel. Excel doesn't actually have a box plot function, so we're going to have to do a little bit of manipulation to get the box plot. So here's what we do. Here's a data set, and this data set is typical of most data sets. What I have here is I have an ID number, I have heights, genders, weights, ages, and whether a student is full-time or part-time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create the box plot the weight, uh, using the weight column here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the weight column by I'm going to highlight all the weights, including the label weight, highlight them. Then I'm going to right click, copy. Then I'm going to add a sheet by hitting this plus right here. Add a sheet by hitting the plus, and then gives me sheet 2. Sheet 2 is blank. I'm going to right click in the first cell of sheet 2, and I'm going to paste. Paste the entire column of weights in here. So now I have the weights isolated, and if you take a look, I still have my original data set intact, but now I have the weights separated on their own tab. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a 5-number summary. A 5-number summary for my weights. All right. The 5-number summary consists of the minimum value, the first quartile, the median value, the third quartile, and the maximum value. So I'm going to create those, and I'm going to use Excel functions to create them, okay? So this is the function button on Excel. You should get familiar with that. So I'm first going to create the minimum. I'm just going to look at the minimum, and I'm going to put it in this cell right here, C2, this cell right beside the label minimum. I'm going to hit FX, and if statistical is not already highlighted, you hit this drop-down box and you just highlight statistical, because we're going to do the statistical functions. We're going to look at those. And the first one I want to find is minimum. These are in alphabetical order, starting with A and then going to B. So you scroll all the way down until you find the M's, and MIN, min. If you highlight that, that will give you the minimum. It says returns the smallest value in a set of values. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And right now it's going to give me the minimum of the array A2 to B2. That's not what I want, because that's here to here. I don't want that. I want the minimum value for this column here. So in order to do that, I'm going to click this little thing right here, this little button. I'm going to click that, and then it's going to give me this. And what I have to do from here is just highlight all the values for which I want to find the minimum value. I'm going to highlight all these weights. Once I have them highlighted, I come back over here and I click this, and it takes me back here, and it kind of infers here. It tells me that the minimum value is 77. So I click OK, and it puts the 77 here. Oh, that's a very small weight. That's a light person, 77 pounds. All right, next is the first quartile. So for the first quartile, I'm going to highlight the cell right beside Q1. That's the cell C3, as you can see. Once again, I'm going to hit the FX insert function button. Statistical should already be highlighted since we just used one of the statistical functions. And I'm going to scroll all the way down to the Q's now. The Q's. So the first thing in the Q's is quartile.exe. I'm going to highlight quartile.exe. I'm going to click OK, and it's going to ask me where the array is where I want to find the numbers that I want to find the first quartile of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this once again, or I'm going to click this once again, click that. I'm going to highlight all the weights, because the weights are what I want to find the first quartile for. So I highlight all the weights, come back over here and click that button once again, and then there's another space here for quart. Well, here I'm going to tell it which quartile I want to find. So I'm going to highlight that box beside quart, and I'm going to put 1 because I'm looking for the first quartile. See down here it says a value of 0 gives you minimum. First quartile is equal to 1. So when I put a 1 in here, it's going to give me the first quartile. The first quartile, it says, is 124.5. So I click OK, and it imports 124.5 into this box. Now I'm going to find the median. So I'm going to click here beside median, click the FX button again. It's already on statistical, so I scroll down to median, and and median is right here in the M's. I click median, I click OK, and it asks me, where do I want to find the median once again? Where are the numbers? So I click this, I highlight all my weights once again, highlight all my weights, and I come back here, click this again, that button, and it's giving me the median there to be 146, so I click OK, and it imports the median right there. So once again, I'm looking for the third quartile now. That's that button, quartile.exe. That's that function. So I'm going to click the function button. I'm going to go all the way back down to quartile.exe. Quartile.exe is right here, quartile.exe. I'm going to click OK. Once again, it's asking me where's the array for which you want to find the third quartile. I'm going to hit this. I'm going to go ahead and highlight all my weights once again. Highlight all of the weights. Click this button once again to get back to this dialog box. And for quart, since I'm looking for the third quartile, I highlight this, and then it tells me the third quartile I'm going to enter here, quartile 3. I'm going to put in a 3 equals 3. So I'm going to type 3 in here, 3, and then it tells me the third quartile is 175. I click OK. And then the last thing now is the maximum value. So I'm going to highlight right beside the maximum. I'm going to hit the FX button again. I'm already on statistical, so I scroll down to the M's. And the first thing in M is maximum. So I highlight max. It says returns the largest value in a set of values. I click OK. I click this again so I can highlight all the weights. I highlight all the weights. Highlight every weight. Once I have all the weights highlighted, I click this again to get back to the dialog box, and I just click OK. It says the maximum weight is 221. I click OK, and there's my maximum weight of 221. All right, now I have my 5-number summary. But to create my box plot, I don't actually want these numbers. What I want is the differences between them. So in the next column, I'm just going to type differences. And I'm going to find the differences between all the numbers in my 5-number summary. Well, the first one, there's no difference there because there's no number above it. So I'm just going to type in the 77. For the next one, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the difference between 124.5, the first quartile, and the minimum, 77. So here's how I'm going to do that. Once I have this highlighted, I'm going to type in an equal so it knows I want to create a function. Then I'm going to click on the first quartile, 124.5, in C3. I'm going to click on that. Then I'm going to type a minus sign, minus, so you see it's now C3 minus. And what I want to subtract from C3 is C2, the minimum value, 77. So I highlight that, and then it says equal C3 minus C2. When I press enter, it gives me the difference between 124.5 and 77. Now to create the rest of the differences, once I have this difference, I'm just going to highlight that difference. And you notice there's a little notch right here in the corner. And you notice that the cursor changes. You see, when you get close to that notch, once you hover over the notch, the cursor changes. I'm going to take that and I'm going to drag and drop it all the way down to the maximum. It's just going to copy what's in that cell to the bottom cells, but instead of copying the exact formula, you see this was C3 minus C2. This one is going to be C4 minus C3, or this, the median, minus this, the first quartile. And then this one is C5 minus C4, which is this, the third quartile, minus the median. And of course, this one is the maximum minus the third quartile. So these are the differences. This is what I'm going to use to create my chart. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to highlight all of these differences. So I've highlighted all the differences in this column. Then I'm going to go to insert, because what I want to do is insert a chart. Here's where my charts are. So I hit the insert tab. Next to the home tab, I hit the insert tab. And then I go over here to charts. Well, there's a bunch of charts here, but I don't want any of those charts. What I want is I want to click this little thing right here, this little notch right here. And if you hover over it, it says see all charts. You see that? See all charts. When you click it, it comes up with this chart dialog box. And the two tabs on the chart dialog box, one of the tabs is recommended charts. The other one is all charts. I want the all charts tab. So I click the all charts tab and it gives me a choice of a bunch of different charts. What I want is I want a bar chart. So I highlight bar chart, and there's a bunch of different kinds of bar charts. The first one is the clustered bar. The one I want is the second one, the stack bar. So you see when you hover over it, it says stack bar. I'm going to click that, and it's going to give me a choice of two different stack bars. This one, that's not the one I want actually. I want this stack bar chart, this one. So the second one, I highlight it, I click it, and it highlights that kind of chart, that kind of stack bar chart. And then I click OK, and it inputs it into my worksheet for me. All right, oops. Let's undo that. All right, so now what I'm going to do is going to bring this down a little bit so we can see it. Bring it down. And I'm going to expand it a little bit, making it a little bit wider. All right. Maybe a little bit narrower than that so I can see the whole thing at once. All right, so here I have a bar chart now, a stack bar chart. And if you notice, this right here, this number right here, that corresponds approximately to my first quartile, or to my minimum value actually. My minimum value is between 50 and 100. It's approximately 77. You can't really tell because of the way this is spread out. Now, I want more numbers on my x-axis, on my horizontal axis, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click on the 0 here, the first number. See, it highlights the x-axis. Then I'm going to go back to that 0, and I'm going to right-click. When I right-click, they have a few things that I can do. It says add minor grid lines. Well, let's go ahead and do that. Add the minor grid lines. And it adds a bunch of minor grid lines there. But that's not all I want to do. I'm going to go back to the 0. I'm going to right-click. And I'm also going to go down to format axis. I'm going to format this axis. When I click format axis, this little thing comes out at the side. It asks me what the minimum should be. Well, it's talking about the minimum value on the axis. The minimum value of my data is 77. So I don't want that to be the minimum value on the axis. I want to go just to the left of 77. So I'm going to go the minimum value of 75, and press enter. And then it starts now at 75. And it's only going by fives now. It's a little bit better. Also, the maximum value up here, the maximum value is 221, but the maximum value here is 235. I'm going to go just to the right of the 221, so I'm going to change this to 225. Enter. And there, now it goes only to 225. Now it only goes to 225. All right. Also, it has units here. It says the major units are going by 20s. I don't want the major unit to go by 20s. I want a little bit smaller of a number, so I'm going to make my major units go by fives and press enter. And you see now the major grid lines, the dark ones here, go by fives. And the minor ones are now going by 1. So now you see all the numbers that you need here. Now you see all the numbers that you need. All right. Once you do that, you can just X this out, and you can see the entire bar chart again here. Actually, let me condense this a little bit. Okay. So now it looks a little bit better. All right. So here's what I have. This middle part, the gray and yellow part here, that's going to be the box for my box and whiskers. That's going to be the box. So everything to the left here needs to be gone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this blue here. I'm going to right click on it, go to format data series, and then this thing comes out here. I want to fill that with white so that it's not blue anymore. So I'm going to click this fill option. I'm going to click here fill, and it drops down, and I'm going to say I want no fill. No fill, and then it disappears. Okay? Also, this needs to be gone because remember, this is my box right here. So I'm going to click this also, and I'm going to click no fill for that. So now there's no fill on the left-hand side. No fill on the left side. Also over here, since this is the box, I want no fill over here either, so I'm going to click that. I'm going to put no fill over there. So now I have the box. This is the box for my box plot. All I need is the whiskers. Here's how I find the whiskers, okay? So to find the whiskers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight here. I'm going to highlight this data series right here. So you see, it wasn't highlighted. I'm just going to click to the left of my box, and it's going to highlight that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to click on Add Chart Element. When I click that, a bunch of things come up. I want the error bars. So I'm going to go to error bars. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to more error bar options and click that. And then a bunch of error bar options come up over here. Well, these are the fill line. That's not what I want. I want to go to the bar options over here. So I'm going to click on bar options, and it's going to give me a bunch of options. What I want is I want a minus bar. You see how that looks like the left-hand side of a box and whiskers plot? That's minus. So I click that, and then I'm going to tell it what length I want. You see it's fixed value here? The value that I want is the difference between my first quartile and my minimum. The difference between my first quartile and my minimum is 47.5. So I go fixed value, and I'm going to highlight it and put 47.5 and press enter. And there's my whisker. There's one whisker, okay? There's one whisker. Once you have that whisker, you're going to click on the yellow portion here, or whatever color it may be in yours. And when you click on that, once again, you're going to go to add chart option, or add chart element, I mean. You click on that, you're going to add another error bar. So once again, let me show you once again. I click on the yellow bar, the place where between the median and the third quartile. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to add chart option, or add chart element. I'm going to go down to error bar, and I'm going to go to more error bar options once again. And then it changes the error bar options over here. Instead of a minus bar this time, I want a plus bar. You see that how that looks like the right whisker? So I click on plus bar, and once again I have a fixed value. Well, the fixed value that I want here is going to be the difference between my third quartile and my maximum value, which is 46. So for the fixed value, I'm going to put that to be 46. And then I'm going to press enter, and there you have the other side of your whisker, your other whisker. So there, we have actually created, in this case, a box and whiskers plot in Excel. So let me just make sure you can see it all here. So there's the box and whiskers plot created in Excel. If you check it out here, you'll see that all the relevant things are here. Let me make it actually just a little bit smaller here. Everything relevant is actually here now. I guess I need to make it a little bit smaller so we can see it all. Okay. For instance, here, this value here, this is my median value. Here's 75, so that's 1, 2, 77, 75, 76, 77. That's the minimum value. Right here, here's the value of my first quartile. Well, it's halfway between 124 and 125. That's halfway between 124 and 125, 124.5. Right here, you have 146 exactly. Right here, we have 175 exactly. And the maximum value is 221 over here, 221. So here you have it. Now you can right-click on this, right-click, copy it, and if you so desire, bring it over to Word by creating a blank workbook, and then you can just paste it in here. Just paste it in here, and you can get your Boxplot into Word. So there you have it. This is what you will need for your project. You'll need to have box plots for your project.